it's almost like if you had skills before, everything you had before is no longer relevant. You just have to like land a job. Like if every time you log on today, you hear about a new AI rapper or a must have to, like the market is expecting you to just become a unicorn guru. Like, but the truth is that hiring managers, they don't pay for hype. They don't pay for your ability to know everything. Like they pay for very specific skill sets. And we on this webinar today, we are going to talk about how to identify those skill sets and align your application so you land the job. So the point is, are you really digging that blindly or you are building the shovel? If you know anything about the um, gold rush, as we are told by history, that those people who made the most money from the gold rush weren't the people who actually struck gold, but the ones who built shovels for everybody to go about looking for gold. So you as an AI engineer, you should be learning how to build the shovels that people would need to build systems or build the systems instead of just, anywhere I hear AI engineering job, you just flash your CV and hope for a miracle to happen. So with that said, my name is Victor Eduoh and I'm the founder of Laand. Laand is an AI powered um, career growth agent that helps you land your ideal job without sending 100 plus applications. So we have this ideology, which we're going to touch on a bit here, that you don't need to send like so much applications for you to land jobs if you do the right thing well. And that's what we're going to be looking at in this job. So thank you again for joining. So the truth is that your secret weapon, like as an AI engineer, you should think of AI as the paint job and your back end skills as the engine. So you might think that you need to start from scratch to become an AI engineer because it's new. You want to throw away everything you have. Like you really don't. AI models, they don't live in a vacuum. Like they need scalable APIs, vector databases, and very heavy infrastructure. So your existing back-end experience is the engine that makes AI actually works. The problem is how do you align these experiences that you have with the current trend so that hiring managers see you as the right fit for the jobs. Okay, so like I was saying, your secret weapon is the skills that you already have. And so to learn AI engineering jobs, it's about aligning those skills to what hiring managers are looking for so that you get your dream role. So now, most of us think that we need to send 100 plus applications, and I see because from building Laand, I go and look at some of our users when they first start using Laand. Like you see them analyzing like hundreds of jobs. It's almost as if they give themselves a daily task that they are going to apply to 20 jobs a day. And the truth is, like applying, the more you apply doesn't increase your chances of landing the job. And if you're looking at my screen right now, that's the first problem that you need to understand that quantity is a vanity metric. The core problem for landing AI engineering jobs is that you don't know what to apply to, your exact fit score, and the critical gaps you need to address when you are applying. So if you look on my screen, this is a typical example of what you get when you analyze a job with Laand, which is you get for completely free. So Laand is built in a way that like is designed to stop you from just applying like with your eyes closed. So how is that? Is that first of all, you get a fit score that tells you right off the bat that even if you have 10 years of experience and the job is asking for 5 years of experience, so many people will feel like, oh, I have more experience. So like if I apply, they are going to like prioritize me. No, they are not going to prioritize you because there could be something, a little thing in that company's broader needs or job description that you would completely miss that is going to determine who they get hired for. Just to demonstrate, in my own case, I have years of product marketing experience. But whenever I use Laand to analyze jobs, I still see that I get a fit score of less than 6. Like with Laand, anything less than 7.5 is almost like a stretch role. Like really going to struggle or need like heavy luck to be able to land that kind of role. So what Land does is that it will acknowledge where you have strengths, but immediately pick out the very important thing that the hiring team is going to be optimizing for. And because I've been on the back end also hiring like teams, hiring people across teams, I know what it means to set up an ATS software. I know what it means to pick out the important things we want to filter out applicants for. So we built Land in a way that it helps pick out those things so that you see right off the bat that first you shouldn't even apply. Like you shouldn't even waste your time applying. But even if you must apply, there's a better way to do that. So if you're going to learn AI engineering jobs, the first thing is you should kill that hypothesis that if you apply 20 times every day, it's not a lottery. It's a lottery. It's a very applying to jobs and getting hired is a very strategic endeavor. And it starts with analyzing jobs in depthly and knowing where you should even play or what you need to go and arm yourself with before you come back to play. And that's the invisible application problem. Now, another thing you should know is that if you've ever worked with a company that hired people, you should know that the system isn't broken. It's just rigged against you. So for we that have been on the insides, like I've built the tools that filter applicants out. The system is designed to reject you for missing a single arbitrary keyword. Like even if you are the best engineer for the job, like if knowing that the game is rigged is step one. Step two is using a system to beat it. Because these companies, they put out a job and then they use an ATS. Because like of our partnership with software tools like Ashby, which is like the one of the most used ATS software, you see that the way companies design their application processes, those tools are just designed to like speed through the process of collecting applicants. They are not designed to help them find the perfect candidates. So when you know this, you know that you need a system also to be able to beat them. So, so how do you do that? First, you should understand that just like the iceberg, just like a typical iceberg, when you look at a job description, what you're looking at is just a tip of what the company is trying to solve. Because in short, most companies they do a very terrible job of stating their very broader needs in their job description. But when they start shortlisting candidates and interviewing people, that's when all those things comes to bear. So you see a company say, hey, they need an AI engineer with 5 years of experience that has React skills, these skills. They just mention those things in the job description. When they start hiring, they start asking you like, have you built this? Have you solved this problem? Can you take a company from 1 to 0? Because it wasn't those skills that they were after. It was somebody who has the ability to solve very specific problems and help their companies achieve very specific goals. So you as an AI engineer, if you're applying, your ability to demonstrate right off the bat that beyond the skills, like you have the skills, but beyond the skills, you know their broader needs and that you can help them achieve those needs. That's how you increase your odds of getting hired. And now that takes us to like the typical resume. So now the typical resume is almost like sending a PDF into the graveyard. If you are like all of us on this webinar, if you had an open role, say for an AI engineering job, and you post it out there and you have even 200 to 300 applicants, like there is no way on earth that you're going to stand looking at each of them one after the other to find, the right person. You're definitely going to use a tool to filter out maybe 10 to 15 people, and then you start looking. So that's why I say you need a system to help you beat the system so that you increase your odds of coming in front of the right people. Now, if you don't have a system that can help you beat the system, then your only chance is to like ditch the system entirely and go directly. And that's the way Laand is designed. And that's the way you land AI engineering jobs today. Because most times your resume is not even going to pass the ATS. And even when it passes the ATS, hiring teams, they are so busy because, of course, they are running companies too. They don't have the time to sit back and start analyzing these resumes one after the other. But what they can do is that if you can show them, like if you can show them that you know how to solve the problems they are trying to solve and align your ability to solve those problems with the company goals that they are trying to achieve, you increase your odds of landing interviews, whether you went through the normal application process or you went directly. So as you can see on my screen, you can go write a resume that makes them feel like I am familiar with LLMs, or you can use a platform like Masteringbackend to build a live system that when you present it to them, they see that, okay, you have a live AI project dashboard, which is why Solomon is hosting this 6 week cohort to not just like tell you that, to not just position you as someone who knows how RAG systems works or databases or chats, AI chat systems work, but building out live systems that if you want to use that to land jobs, you can go directly to the hiring managers and show them instead of just waiting for your resumes to tell them. So how do you do that? You do that by bypassing the gatekeepers. So the truth is that ATS softwares, they are designed to block you. Like they are designed from like, is default. Their default design is to block you. But hiring managers are the ones who makes the final decision. So job boards, for instance, they are the crowded front. You go to job boards, thousands of people are applying just like you. Thousands of people are applying just like you. So the best bet today is to try as much as possible to just beat the job boards directly. Or even if you still use the job board just for like just to show that you went through due process, the best way is to go with direct outreach. And that is the VIP door, the unspoken needs. You speak out the unspoken needs that the company is trying to solve for. Then you build live systems that doesn't just tell them that you have these skills, but demonstrates your ability to like solve the problems that their company is trying to solve, which the job description does not hire. And then you go directly to the hiring managers and start a conversation with them. So how do you do that? For us at Laand, we do that by building what we call a job application kit. So a job application kit, it comprises of so many things. This workshop is not about Laand itself, but about the things you need, about the things that Laand makes possible for you to like increase your odds of landing an AI engineering job. A typical way of applying is a boring PDF. Maybe you send your resume, however you send that. But a JAK, a job application kit, comprise everything you need to increase your odds of landing. Yes, you still get the resume, you still get the cover letter crafted for you in your name with everything that needs to be articulated in them, but you get way more. You get a list of not just the skills that the job description did not point out, but you get those things articulated in a way that you can take them, apply the skills you'll be learning in this upcoming bootcamp that Solomon and the team at Mastering Backend is solving, and then take that, and reach out to the hiring managers directly and say, hey, I applied to this and then I built this to show that I have the skills. Because the truth is, AI is still in its infancy. Even the hiring team, they are skeptical about who they are going to hire. Like they too, they still ponder like, okay, if I bring in this person to work, would I have to go and teach them everything from scratch? Because this technology is new. They need people who can demonstrate that they can actually solve this problem. And that's the whole rationale of we having this workshop, because I could come here and say, go and use Laand. Laand is going to give you everything you need to like land your next dream job, your next dream AI engineering job. But I know deep in my heart that for you to do that with the way that Laand is designed, you need projects, you need to show, you need to, if you're going out to the hiring managers to bypass the job board and go directly to them. You don't just go to them and say, hey, I've applied to your job now because I've emailed you or I have sent you a LinkedIn connection or I have dropped you a message on well found. Go ahead and hire me. No, you have to go with something. You have to go with live projects that demonstrate that you don't just have the skill, but you build systems, because that's the way you start a conversation beyond the job boards that thousands and maybe hundreds of thousands of other people have applied. So you show with a job application kit. Now, this strategy, like I've said, is about having substance. Like for now, you like I've kind of given you the map. So first of all, you analyze jobs in depthly and stop applying blindly. And once you do that, you identify the gaps that you need to address when applying. Now, when you identify those gaps, you weave those gaps around the skills that the company is looking for. When you weave those gaps around the skills, you take those things and go and build systems. So Laand is going to tell you the systems you should build, but Laand cannot build that system, especially if it's something like writing, consulting. Laand can just like spin up a draft for you that you can use. But for things as like serious as back end engineering, you need to build systems. So if Laand tells you, hey, if you're going to apply and land a job like this, you need to build system 1, 2, 3 and use that to reach out to like hiring manager 1, 2, 3. You need to be able to like take those things and come to a place like the Mastering Backend platform, and then of course get the guidance of Solomon or however they do it to build those systems. Once you have those systems, you may not be able to like land this very specific job you identify those gaps from, but for subsequent jobs with that same title, those same things will apply, and then you can use those systems to demonstrate. So your strategy now is like, if you're looking for this over 100,000 K AI roles, you need substance. Like there's no other way I can tell you. Like I can tell you go up and sign up for Laand. Laand is free to use, of course, but if you're going to land a job, you need systems. For we that are like are on the back end too, like yes, we are building the systems, but once in a while too, we are hiring. Listen, like when we put up job applications, when people hire, 8 out of 9 times, 8 out of 10 times, it is the people who reached out to us personally and demonstrated that they can solve the problems that our company is trying to solve. That sometimes is not even stated in the job description that we end up hiring. So we've had situations where we post a job, we have like 200 people, like 200 applications in the pipeline, but we go ahead and hire somebody without even looking at those resumes at all. So what happened? Those people reached out to us, but not just because they reached out to us, they reached out to us with substance, demonstrating that they can actually solve this thing that we are trying to solve for. So now, so that brings us to the ultimate tag team. So in the next 6 weeks, we are looking to move you from to irresistible and become the AI engineer, that the AI backend engineer that any hiring team cannot overlook. So Solomon has a 6 week, Solomon and the Martian backend team, they have a 6 week cohort that is going to like guide you step by step on how to build systems that doesn't just make you send applications that say, hey, I am familiar with this, but systems that would demonstrate to these hiring teams that I can actually solve these problems. And then once you're doing that, at the end of that 6 week cohort, because you then have the skills and then you build the systems that will not just tell, but show that you can solve these problems. Me, like on the Laand end, we are going to now like organize your resume, organize your applications so that you would move from applying to 100 roles to just applying to 10 roles and landing one. So it starts with, of course, having the skills and building systems to demonstrate that you have the skills. Because however I try to paint that, however I try to like sugarcoat that, if you've not built the systems, shareable system that demonstrate that you have the skills, that you can solve these problems, Laand itself cannot help you, especially from the back end engineering end, where like hiring managers and engineering managers are going to test the systems you build. They're going to like show, like you have to actually demonstrate that those systems actually work, and then they're going to ask you questions as well. Before I continue and before we round this up, I'm just going to take a pause and maybe allow like we are so many here on this webinar, on this workshop. So if you have questions, if there's something I said that is not clear, I'm just going to give like 5 to 10 minutes for us to ask questions, and I'll come back around this up. Hey, Solomon, can you take over?
Yes, thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. So if you have any questions so far, right, this is the time for you to share your question. Now, these questions can actually range from maybe AI engineering, job strategies, anything at all that you find confusing in your journey to landing your first, or maybe your second, or maybe your 20th AI job, right? So you can ask your question. Just raise your hand or type it in the chat, and I'm going to read it out for people. All right, so Ed, let's hear you.
Okay, so Ed is asking, what are the ways to show your projects when applying? So like I said, like I think in slide 4, I think between slide 4 and 6, the way you show it is by going directly to the hiring managers or is a relevant stakeholder in the hiring team. So of course, if you apply with the typical job boards, you will not have a way to do that. Of course, some job applications gives you a way to do that. But our recommended way is to find key hiring managers and reach out to them directly. That's one thing that Laand does for you right off the bat. So for every job that you analyze, once you generate a job application kit, Laand gives you 4 people you can reach out to, depending on the company stage and order. Sometimes you get the CEO, the CTO, the hiring manager, and then a strategic employee within the specific team that the role will be working in. So in something like Masteringbackend, for instance, if Masteringbackend posts a job for, let's say, our marketing team, Laand can pinpoint the marketing leader and tell you, or maybe the social media manager, like that's in also in charge of marketing, and tell you, if you complete this project, take this project with this outreach message and reach out to this person. So you get 4 people, you get their emails, you get their contacts, you get this very specific script and the channel you should reach out to them to, and then you get recommendations on how you should reach out, on how you should show your projects to them. Hope that answers your question, Ed. You're muted, Solomon. So,
Sorry. So it wasn't Ed, that was Alan. So
okay,
Ed, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
okay, that was Alan. Sorry.
All right. Thank you for having me. I'm
Yeah.
from Nigeria. So
Okay.
my question is like now I've seen a job description and let's say I've seen what they need. Like what am I to show them? Like maybe reaching out to the top team members. What am I to show them on what they need? Am I to build a project like that to solve that problem? Or how do I prove that?
Okay. So usually, like I was saying, when you see a job description and you think you know what they need, the truth is that most times you don't really know what they need, because even some companies, they do a very poor job of articulating what they really need in job description. And that's why like a tool like Laand exists. So with a tool like Laand, when you analyze a job, Laand takes it like 3 steps further, analyzes the company, analyzes all their recent news and updates and progress within the company in the last 6 months prior to posting that job. It will synthesize that information and try to contextualize the job against where the company is going to. So, like a company in Series A that is hiring an AI engineer would have very different needs from a company in Series B, as the case may be. So, how you identify the projects you should solve isn't just projects that ticks the boxes in the job description. There has to be projects that also extends beyond the job description to the core problems that the company has. Because you don't want to just go and solve you don't want to go and demonstrate a project that says, hey, I saw that you're hiring an AI engineer, you need somebody with these skills and these skills. Now I have these skills. No, you want to, when you're solving those problems, whatever you're building, because of course it takes time to build this. So if you're going to invest your time, it better be worth it. When you're solving this problem, you want to solve it in a way that when you deliver it to the to the hiring team, you are demonstrating that yes, I understand the skills you're looking for. I am also able to solve these problems in a way that addresses the core problems that your company has, even though it wasn't stated in the job description. Does that answer your question, Ed?
Okay, yes, that's great. I really appreciate, because I'm having an interview this week. So, but I need to like check their background and everything to see if I could spot something that I could show that I have it.
So if you're having an interview this week, like what I would like tell you right off the bat is signing off for Laand is free. Good luck to you. You've already made it to the interview stage. So maybe just sign off for Laand, take that same job, analyze it on Laand. Laand is going to show you like the company, like you're going to learn so many things about that company that you probably wouldn't have done on your own. So go and look at the company context research in Laand. Look at the you're going to when you analyze a job completely free online, you see the company context research. You would see your strategic fit analysis, and then you see that jobs deep dive analysis. What those three things will do for you, which is completely free, is that you will see the direction the company is headed. So, and it is going to like arm you better to know how you're going to answer your questions, because the thing that most people do when they're applying to jobs is that they index so much on the job description and forget completely that the job description is just a means to an end. The company is essentially looking for somebody that help them solve their broader problems and not just become another hire. So I hope that answers your question. Let's move to the next question where
All right.
Thank you so
Mohammed
much.
asked. So Mohammed Akanji, you asked, how good of a backend engineer do I have to be to enter this space? So, well, honestly speaking, like backend engineering is like, I think you guys define the systems, and if you get it wrong, the system is not going to work. So, like, I think you need to be fairly good. That's just the truth, especially in this particular market, in this job market, where if you look out there, there are very good engineers who are like actively looking for jobs. Like you would even wonder that they should be able to stroll into jobs. We at Land, we see people who have worked several years in Google, several years in Microsoft. They still use Land to apply to jobs, and they still struggle to land jobs. Like that's just the simple truth. And then they come to Land and be like, wow, they've been doing it all wrong. So one thing we always ask ourselves is that if people with 20 years of experience, they've worked at Google, they've worked at Microsoft, they like you look at them and feel like jobs should be chasing them and not them chasing jobs. If those people are still in the market looking for jobs, you really need to be good. And a good place to start is what Solomon and the team at Mastering Backend is doing by giving you not just skills, but helping you build systems so that you demonstrate that you're actually good like at solving these problems. I hope that answers your question, Mohammed. If it does, please leave us a thumbs up while we move to the next question. So, Marisa, you asked, what do you think is the main concept that is a must and that impresses the HR in the interview process? So, like, I think what impresses them the most is your ability to understand their broader company needs. So, and I think it's common sense because if I am hiring for a role and interviewing somebody and the person is already talking to me like he knows my company, he knows where that job fits in and all that, what impresses HR most is your ability to demonstrate that you understand their company, like you understand them beyond what was stated in the job description. So if somebody asks you a question like, tell me about yourself, which is like the first question that hiring managers ask, most people feel like, oh, is a time for them to like flex their muscles and talk about what they've built and all that. What you've built matters, but your ability to talk about what you've built in the context of what the company is trying to solve for is what to demonstrate to the hiring manager that you've actually not just built something, but build something that shows that you can help them solve their problems too. So in Laand, for instance, once you generate a job application kit, you get interview questions that will help you prep for. The first question you get is, tell us about yourself. There's no interview. Even when I do interview, that's the first question I ask. There's no interview you go to and they're not going to ask you that question. And that's the first place that most job applicants fail. They talk about the things, they talk about their experience. I've worked at here, I've worked here, I've done this, I've done that. But they do all that with failing to align all those things they are saying with what the company is trying to solve for. So if you say, I have built a RAG system before, now, and you know that the hiring company is a Series A company, you don't just tell them, I have built a RAG system. You have to understand how you talk about a RAG system that will be relevant to a Series A company. If the Series A company is in the health sector, if the company like is in the HR sector, wherever they are, you have to make that presentation relevant to their sector so that they will not just be looking at you as somebody who has done something, but they'll be seeing you as somebody who has done something that can impact their business. I hope that answers your question, Marisa. If it answers your question, Marisa, please can you leave a thumbs up so we move to the next question? We'll move to the next question, hoping that it does. If it didn't, please you can drop a follow-up question. So Mike asked, my name is Mas. I am I currently made use of AI in my backend system in which I build my current place of work. But I'm looking to start a company that builds AI solutions for Nigerian business, but I don't know how or where to start. Do you have a few pointers for me? I think this question is a bit out of the scope of this workshop. So I don't want to like digress so much so that we don't leave it. I think you should reach out to like people who are building companies like Solomon and then maybe me directly for us to answer that question so that we don't digress too much. So you can reach Solomon. Solomon, maybe drop your email in the chat. This is somebody that's not just trying to apply to jobs, but build a company. He can reach out to you directly. If you want to reach out to me directly, you can email me at victor@laand.me and I could answer that question because that's beyond the scope of this workshop. So, okay, this question is for Solomon. Solomon is asking, what is the cost of the bootcamp and can one pay on installments and when is it starting? I think that's a very good question. Solomon, can you take that, please?
All right. Thank you very much. Justice, thank you for your question. First, if you visit masteringai.dev, you are going to actually see the cost of the bootcamp. But in terms of installments, yes, it is possible to pay installments. So what you have to do is just to reach out to me. I'm going to drop my email here. So reach out to me directly, and then we are going to create an installment plan for you. So the same thing for everybody. If you want to pay on installment, just reach out to us via this email that is on the chat.
Okay, so you can reach Solomon on hi@solomon@masteringbackend.com. If you need an installment payment for the price, and of course you should do that so that you maybe in the first 2 weeks you validate if the course where the bootcamp is actually worth your while, and then you sign up. But one thing that you would want, one reason why you should really sign up for this bootcamp is that I think in week 5 or between week 5 and week 6, towards the end of the boot camp, I'm going to come in. I'm not just going to come in. We are going to have like a more very detailed, like more practical approach where everybody is going to like bring like 3 jobs that if they landed was going to kind of transform their lives. Well, I will personally handhold you. We are going to analyze those jobs. I'm going to give you a very generous coupon to use Laand, and then we would build your job application kit from scratch so that you would apply to this job. You're going to identify the right hiring managers that you're going to reach out to. Use Laand to generate the scripts. You're going to reach out to them across LinkedIn, email, and even well found. So you should definitely like check out, you should definitely sign up for this because like we don't do this often. We usually don't do this often. So do we still have more follow-up questions? Do we have more questions? Okay, in the absence of any other question, let me just round up before Solomon just comes, like, gives this a close. So the goal with this bootcamp essentially is to help you stop applying, sending 100 plus applications, but to help you apply to 10. And I'm telling you right now that we're even going to bring it down to like 3 to 5. You just apply to like 5 jobs, because first and foremost, we are going to analyze those jobs in depthly, and then we'll tell you right off the bat that, hey, don't even waste your time on this. Like, it's a stretch role, you don't even stand a chance. And then inside those 5 that you're going to apply, we are going to like give you access to Laand, give you a very generous access to Laand. But of course, you can right now you can go and sign up for Laand, start using it to analyze jobs for free. You can see most of the things that we are telling you for free. And then if you sign up for the bootcamp, we're going to come in and handhold you to help you that you land your next job. So now the goal is to help you land your next job. After this 6-week cohort, our end goal is not just to teach you in-demand AI engineering skills, but like Solomon has been able to like strike a very good deal with Laand and me to come in and help you land a job, like land an AI engineering job. So with that, thank you so much for like joining me. I'm going to drop off here and hand over the baton to Solomon. You can reach me directly at victor@laand.me if you have any questions directly for me. But of course, again, Laand is free. Go ahead, check it out, sign up. We have over 200 people now using Laand to land their dream roles across different job titles. So good luck in your job search. Solomon.
All right, thank you very much, Victor. That was a very wonderful presentation, and also breaking down all the strategies and lots of the things that people are actually failing to identify when applying to jobs, right? So we've all had times when we were all applying to jobs before we got to where we hire people now. One thing that always stands out is the fact that you need to always identify the company, the role, and then know the story to tell them, right? And always make sure that you become the favorite, and also you have the ability to know exactly what they want in that particular role. And with this knowledge, I and Victor, that is what we use, right, to create Laand, to actually identify these things for you so that you don't have to do those deep research, because it's going to actually take your time. For some of us that have like schedules of applying to 20 jobs in a day and all of that, that can be reduced to applying to just 10 jobs and then getting your dream role. Okay, so that is Laand, and I am very, very confident that it's going to help you land your next role. So for Mastering Backend, right, like I said, we have this mission to train the next 1 million AI engineers. And it is starting from running these free workshops and creating content, and also running the advanced AI engineering bootcamp. So if you're interested in the bootcamp, like, let me just walk you through what we are going to teach in the 6 weeks of this particular bootcamp. So just hold on while I share my screen and walk you guys through it. All right. So one thing that I've noticed with AI engineering is that it is still all about backend engineering. So there's backend, and then there is AI on top of it. So it is very important that you solidify your knowledge of building scalable backend systems before you start bringing in AI systems on top of it, because if your backend systems are faulty, of course, your AI system on top of it is also going to be faulty. So that is where we actually start from. Okay, so we created the 6 layers of AI systems. So the first week here, we are going to talk about production backend foundation. So here, we are going to show you exactly how to build a backend system that is going to serve 1 million users. All right. So we start by talking about JWT, OAuth, and authentication, authorization, how to actually structure your backend system with testing, validation, structured login, and all of these, right? So we are going to set the foundation on how you can build a scalable backend system. And then in the week 2, we are going to move on to business backend system. So here, we are going to show you exactly how to build in role-based access control, where you have users, you have different kinds of users and actors on your backend system. So we are also going to show you how to use background jobs, how you can actually connect to external APIs properly, and how to use different web hooks and stuff like that. So this is going to give you a solidified knowledge on building real backend systems before you start thinking about building AI agents, rack systems, and MCPs. All right. So on the 3rd week, we are going to look at how you can make your production system more performance ready by introducing it to caching, rate limiting, different security headers for, of course, securities, and different metrics and health checks that you need to do for your backend system. So the 3rd week, or like the 1st to the 3rd week, is all about building a strong backend system. Like we are targeting 1 million users, right? So how will you build a system that would carry up to 1 million records and 1 million users are actually using your backend system, right? So that is what the 1st to the 3rd week is going to be focused on. So after this, after you've solidified that knowledge, you're then going to start introducing AI into the mix, right? So for the 4th week, we'll have AI infrastructure. So here we are going to pull you out and teach you what vector databases are, and then also talk about different database ingestion strategy, or what you call chunking strategies. And then we also look at different RAG pipelines, talk about AI agents, and how you can control cost and hallucinations in your AI systems, right? So that is what week 4 is going to be all about. And then on week 5, we're going to look at more advanced patterns like human in the loop systems. When you're building AI system, you need to allow humans to make corrections or point out what is right and what is wrong before you allow your AI to kind of proceed with implementation. So this is the strategy that Cloud Code uses to build their systems. So we'll talk about agent autonomy and guardrails. We also talk about the react and plan and execute patterns. And then also in this week, we are going to talk about memory systems in terms of context and all of that. So these are a lot of the things that we are going to be layering on top of the backend systems that we've already built. Now, it doesn't stop there. Once you have this knowledge, because it's going to be very, very practical. So once you have this knowledge on the week 6, like Victor already said, he's going to come back in and he's going to walk us through how to actually, land our first job. So we are going to do different presentations, starting from building the first capstone projects together. And then after that, we go through series of mock interviews so that we can actually know how to learn the next AI engineering role. So just to stop here, that is all we are going to look at in this 6 week. And of course, it is exactly how I think as a backend engineer, you should start from, diving into the AI engineering world. And that is exactly the same step that we are going to approach, we are going to use in this bootcamp. So go to the website, take a look at it. And if you have questions, just let me know. I've already dropped my email address right there, right? And everything that you need, right, is there. But if you have more questions, of course, just send me an email and we are going to talk from there. Okay, so thank you very much for joining the bootcamp today. And just to let you guys know again, on 28th, we have another workshop rather, that is going to be about building your first MCP server, right? So I want everybody to join that particular workshop. The email is going to start going out. And once you see that, please also register, because we are bringing in the next speaker that is going to teach us how to build our first MCP server. And I don't want you guys to miss that too. So thank you very much for joining.